remember the team of India that used to play under Sorav Ganguly?
Yeah.
13 finals, 13 finals, one trophy.
Welcome back to OneCricket Unscripted. We are back with yet another team analysis. This time it's New Zealand, a team that everyone somewhere loves. Like somewhere you are connected to New Zealand. You feel for them because they've been this close every time, but they fail to like capture the moment. Apart from the ICC Test Championship, they have been like knocking on the door of the World Cup, and every time it's like, no, you're not allowed in.
So I would say that it's basically a problem of the mentality in the team. They are failing nerves at the important stages, at the important matches, during the important matches. Just going there and failing, I think some sort of mental block for the team.
So you're saying it's somewhere in the mind, somewhere
I would give you a good example. Remember the team of India that used to play under Sorav Ganguly?
Yeah.
13 finals, one trophy. So
like this is another big statement coming from you. Like all this while that I've been talking to you, you've been making bold statements that I cannot deny. The stat that you just presented, it's a very big stat. Sorav Ganguly has led Team India in 13 finals and he's only won once.
And in the other one, he was a joint champion with Sri Lanka. So you can say two, but basically one.
No, basically once. One will be then not resulted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, he's questioning the captaincy of Sorav Ganguly. No. I know he's not he's not questioning the captaincy of Sorav Ganguly. He's basically trying to highlight the fact that certain teams tend to have a mental block that they cannot push past.
Yes.
And this is where I remember Australia, because despite of the 11 they have this power to push past that mental block and force the result.
That is basically the thing. Means if you see that Australian team under Ricky Ponting, which was made actually by Steve Waugh, if you see that team, they used to turn matches from nowhere. Means you can say that you have expected Australia will be losing a match. Somehow, means I am talking of a test match, of course. Brett Lee comes in and bats a brilliant innings and takes them to win. So these kind of things have happened with that Australian team, and that is where a champion team is.
Andrew Simons comes in, bowls a few magnificent overs, and the tide of the game has been turned. Okay, that is Australia. Bring our focus back to New Zealand. I'll start off with the X factor that you think is not in the radar but can deliver in the World Cup.
No, I would first of all like to say that this biggest X factor for them is going to be Michael Bracewell. Economy of just over 5 and just over 6 in the middle overs, along with Mitchell Santner, who is holding one end tight. Bracewell might be the man who comes in and picks up a few wickets while not giving many runs.
And I somewhere feel that since Bracewell hasn't played that many T20Is, people might try to take him on. And for the matter of the fact, I have seen an entire season of Super Smash where Bracewell has been the guy. And not just Super Smash, in the ODI format, in the ODI domestic setup of New Zealand, this guy has been scoring tons. And he'll be batting at number 7.
And number 7, and he has a strike rate of over 200 in the death overs from 17 to 20. So he will be that impactful batter at the end.
And for the matter of the fact, I'll just point out the fact Michael Bracewell is an anchor in the domestic setup. He's a player who bats long innings. The fact that he has the ability to bat long as well as smoke it long makes him the package. Because if there's a quick fall of wickets, you can send him up the order. You can trust him.
And you can preserve a wicket like someone of Glenn Phillips or for that matter of present Ken Williams.
Jimmy Neesham can also be prevented in a situation where the ball is doing too much, so that he can come in.
Send in Bracewell. So Bracewell will be the player for New Zealand. And if you say someone who is under the radar, means who is not that much in discussion but can give them a big impact, I would go with someone like Glenn Phillips. He has been performing very consistently but has not been in discussion that much. He has an average of over 60, I think, this season.
I guess 55 or 55 odds.
Nearly 60. And a strike rate of over 150. That I can assure you. So that person, that Glenn Phillips, is a one batter who is not that much in discussion but will be important for New Zealand.
Okay. So Glenn Phillips, according to him, will be the X factor alongside Michael Bracewell. Now, overall, when you look at this team, I feel this team is a complete team but not a complete T20I team. When I
Yes.
say that, what I actually mean is they have players for every position, but that the balance that a T20I team needs, where you have multiple bowling options, you bat deep down, that is missing. I feel that is missing, and the biggest thing that is missing, they do not have power hitters throughout that batting lineup. They have limited power hitters.
You can only trust as a power hitter upon only Michael Bracewell and Jimmy Neesham.
Yeah.
And Neesham has a strike rate of 190, I think, this season. But as you have said, I think at the top it looks very solid with Guptill and Devon Conway, especially. More than Guptill, I would trust Conway as a batter. He is a very consistent guy. But after that, I think they are not only missing the firepower. One more big problem is that Kane Williamson is not right on the money.
He has been struggling of late.
Yes, he has been struggling, and in a format which has evolved so much, a strike rate of 120 plus, I don't think.
See, I'll still back Kane Williamson despite of the fact that you are someone who goes by the numbers. I don't believe the strike rate matters when it comes to Kane Williamson. I'll just give you an example. He's the only anchor. He's the only proper anchor in that team. The others around him can do the job of tonking the ball.
As you mention him as the only anchor, what would you make of Devon Conway? He also plays that kind of role.
No. What I'm trying to suggest here is he's the only proper anchor. I know the likes of Devon Conway, not just Devon Conway, even Glenn Phillips can anchor the innings.
Yes.
Even Michael Bracewell can anchor the innings. But a situation where Kane Williamson is at the other end and anchoring stuff, once he gets past the 30 run mark, everyone in the team will somewhere now believe that he'll bat throughout the 20 overs. The other end can go and tonk in from ball one. Don't you agree to this perspective of mine?
I agree to your perspective, but I would point out one thing. What Kane Williamson's knock has been doing lately, he's taking the time to get settled and not going big. So New Zealand might fall back in that area if Kane Williamson doesn't convert his knock. And Kane Williamson as a leader, I have no doubts about him. A calm, composed leader, a very good captain who has, means you can say at times not got the best of the teams, but he has taken them to 2 World Cup finals still, even when he has not the best of teams. But I think Kane Williamson, the batter, if he doesn't hit form very early in the tournament, is going to be a concern for New Zealand.
Okay, so he is by now he has already questioned a few captains. Yes, he is pretty much right to question the consistency of Kane Williamson, the batter. But I'll still believe in him because I've seen these players deliver when it matters the most.
Yes, of course. I would agree to that. And the biggest example would be Virat Kohli. When everyone is saying that Virat Kohli is done, he comes back, scores his 71st century. So
I'll keep Virat Kohli aside. I'll
I'll
always keep Virat Kohli aside from the rest of the pack, is because this guy has a different mentality. So I'll not compare him with Kane Williamson, and there is no point comparing. You know that they are two completely different
players,
individuals.
but I would say players also, style of playing is also very different. But the pedigree, the class, they are somewhere belong to that same pedigree.
You're talking about the Fab Four, the mentality that the Fab Four has
yes, of course.
of always bouncing back. So yeah. He's not trusting Kane Williamson with it, but he'll not be surprised if Kane Williamson delivers, because that is what the pedigree of the player is. Okay, Kane Williamson, the top 3 is done. The top 3, we have talked about the top 3. Now comes the part where you talk about Glenn Phillips, Jimmy Neesham, Michael Bracewell. I still feel there is something missing in that middle order.
The biggest thing that is missing in that middle order is someone who can perform in the pressure situations consistently. Glenn Phillips, Michael Bracewell, Jimmy Neesham would give you 1 or 2 matches, would rescue in 1 or 2 matches, but consistently being there and performing. I think this is the biggest problem that New Zealand has had in the bigger tournaments.
Okay. So what you're suggesting is, if the top order crumbles, the middle order is not responsible enough to take you through multiple matches. Once it can happen, twice it can happen, but apart from that, it won't happen. Now, see, I believe they have one of the best spin combinations in this tournament.
Yes, of course.
Overall. And will you be featuring Ish Sodhi? Because I believe they'll have 3 spinners: Ish Sodhi, Mitchell Santner, as well as Michael Bracewell. So, what's the combination? What's the spin combination? Just because it is Australia, people tend to question the fact that can you play 3 spinners? Can you play? What do you think?
If I means once again going if by the fact that if I was in that New Zealand camp, I would go with chase spinners because that would give me the variety. You have a leg spinner, you have a left arm spinner, and you have off spinner
And you have a combination that has done wonders for you.
already. And if you see that combination in case of the flexibility, Ishori is someone who will go for wickets, who will try and attack, while Bracewell
Santler will hold it from one end.
and Bracewell can do both the things.
And yes,
He's
and-
a balance
and-
between the two.
Like I will say, he's the cherry on the top.
Yes.
Bracewell is pretty much the cherry on the top.
Yes.
Bowling unit. See, we don't need to talk much about that bowling unit because Tim Southee and Trent Bolt is the best, by far the best opening bowling combination according to me. I think you'll agree to that.
Yes, of course.
But my concern is, ever since Trent Bolt decided to not renew his contract with New Zealand, he hasn't played that many games. So will that matter in this tournament?
Also, if you see in this season, his strike rate with the ball is around 30, means he is bowling about 5 overs to pick up a wicket. So it's a big concern. It will be a big concern because if Trent Bolt doesn't deliver,
They'll struggle.
They will struggle. If you remember that 2019 semi-final, it hurts us. Those 3 wickets at the beginning, it just blew India off. So if Trent Bolt is not doing that job, a lot of pressure on Team Saudi. But Team Saudi has been doing well. That's a plus. But I think carrying a whole team through means only on your shoulders throughout a full tournament is going to be a big job to do.
Okay, I've seen multiple, like over the talk that we have had thus far, I've seen multiple holes in this team, like multiple places where they might not have an answer. According to you, which of these is the biggest threat or biggest concern that New Zealand has?
I would say that fact that I mentioned, that in the middle order there is not enough responsible batter who could carry you throughout the tournament, who could deliver in all the pressure situations when the team demands him.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest concern that they will be facing.
And when it comes to the bowling, it is pretty much settled. But who is your
I think
third
they will
pacer?
I think they will be having a means dilemma of who to play between the third spinner and the third pacer.
Yeah.
Because the third pacer is Lockie Ferguson is there. So you
Okay.
cannot miss out on him.
So can't you like fit all 6 of them in the playing 11? Because I think you can. You can have your 3 out and out pacers in Lockie Ferguson, Trent Bolt, and Saudi, and you can have Ish Sodhi and Santner as your bowling options. This is the 5 bowlers. Bracewell particularly plays as your all rounder along with Jimmy Neesham. Can that happen?
I think it's means if you are going for that kind of a combination, the bits and pieces type of players are getting too long. It's becoming too long. Means you have players who can do both the jobs, but who are neither means not a specialist in either of the two trades.
So when you're saying that they are neither of a specialist, who are you particularly targeting at? Who are you talking about? Because see, I don't want them to have any kind of confusion.
I am particularly speaking of Jimmy Neesham. If you are including those 3 spacers, I don't think Neesham has a place. You would say that as a batter, but I think if you are including those 3 pacers, you can use Michael Bracewell in that Neesham role.
Okay, but then you sort of lack power.
See, I am saying that I was telling you that they will have a dilemma who to play. This is the dilemma that they will be facing.
So he pretty much like made you believe what the dilemma is, because he forced me into the dilemma. I became the think tank of New Zealand and I was forced into a dilemma of who to play. This is the dilemma that New Zealand will have. This is, I guess, pretty much that we have for
on
New Zealand.
The Black Caps.
Yeah, on the Black Caps. Just give me a prediction, because I normally don't ask for predictions, but can they make yet another final? Can they make it to yet another final?
A semi-final at the least.
A semi-final at the least. Despite all these
concerns, all these big holes. I don't means I would say that one thing that would be very, very advantageous for them is the calm mind of Kane Williamson. If he can marshal his sources well, he can take his team through. Yes, Kane Williamson, the batter, is a concern, but Kane Williamson, the captain,
I was just about to mention that. He's not trusting Kane Williamson, the batter, but he is trusting Kane Williamson, the captain, to deliver and take New Zealand to the semi-finals. That is it for New Zealand. We'll be back again with yet another video.